Our final speaker is the Director of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency's Chemical and Biological Technologies Department. As was mentioned, he is dual-hatted as the Director of the Joint Science and Technology Office for Chemical and Biological Defense within the Chemical and Biological Defense Program. He began serving at DTRA in 2002 when he was assigned as a mission commander to the Chemical and Biological Division On-Site Inspection Directorate. He earned his Ph.D. in organic chemistry from the University of Virginia. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ron Hann.
All right, let's see if the mic's working. All right, we're on now, good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati. Thank you for joining us at the 2019 Chem-Bio Defense Science Technology Conference. It's been 2 years since our last meeting in Long Beach, California. And even though our location has changed, the reason we are here has not. You may recall at the last conference, we talked about our why. Why are we here? Well, we are here for our warfighters. It's all about our warfighters. We are here to find new and innovative ways to protect and safeguard the men and women serving our country. Today, nearly 1.4 million men and women serve on active duty, and another 850,000 serve in the National Guard or reserves. On any given day, more than 200,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen are deployed around the world, many in harm's way. As many of you know, I served on active duty in the Army Chemical Corps for 27 years until I retired in 2014. During that time, my peers and I faced nuclear, biological, and chemical threats in Europe and the Middle East and Asia. While in uniform, these kinds of threats went from a training distractor to an actual combat condition on the battlefield in which we had to fight. It never made us happy to know that we had to put those bulky, hot, restrictive suits and boots, gloves, protective masks on our face, but we knew that our country depended on us to fight and win our nation's battles, no matter what the challenge. The threats are no less serious today. We've seen the use of chlorine and mustard gas in Iraq and Syria. We've supported outbreak operations in West Africa. Thousands of legacy chemical munitions were found in Iraq over the last decade, buried or hidden from international inspection teams. And we continue to identify emerging threats, as Brandy indicated, that we do not conform to international treaty standards that would limit or contain the use of these threats on future battlefields, such as fourth-generation nerve agents that were used as an assassination tool in Salisbury, England. In the military's time-honored tradition, one generation passes the fight to the next generation. So I'd like to recognize those who currently serve or have served in our armed forces. If you are an active duty military member, please stand and remain standing. So if you're wearing a uniform, get up. Yeah. All right. So, those of you who are reservists or guardsmen, please stand and remain standing. And if you're a veteran, please stand and remain standing. All right, great. We have a big crowd here. All right. Thank you. You may see them now. So join me in recognizing our warfighters. Thank you for the efforts and sacrifices you've made for our nation. We are passionate about providing these men and women the best possible chemical and biological protection devices that we can devise. The responsibility is great, and they are counting on us. The DTRA CB team is focused on safeguarding our warfighters and nation from chemical and biological threats of today and tomorrow. We cannot fail. We must succeed. How do we do that? Well, it starts with an idea. The proverbial light bulb that goes off in your head. An idea, the single most powerful thing humankind can create. Want to go to the moon? The journey starts with an idea. Want to cure cancer? That too starts with an idea. No matter what you strive to achieve, it all starts with an idea. If you haven't heard Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History podcast about the Obscure Virus Club, you should listen to it. In it, Gladwell tells the story of a small group of scientists who relentlessly pursued the theory of retroviruses and reverse transcription. At the time, in the 70s, they were told their ideas lacked merit. Everyone knew that DNA transcribed RNA and not vice versa. Mainstream science was not ready to hear that Mother Nature was throwing a curveball. At the time, the epidemic was exploding. In 1996, the UN estimated 23 million people were infected worldwide, and it was spreading rapidly. Doctors had no way to treat it. They didn't even have a way to test for it. Basically, the medical and science communities were completely in the dark. No one even knew what it was. That is, until the Obscure Virus Club's ideas on reverse transcription turned the tide. Their ideas led to solutions that worked in response to the world's HIV crisis. That is the power of an idea. However, it's not just the biggest ideas that have immense power. Even seemingly insignificant ideas can change the world. This is my favorite example of that premise, the Post-it note. It's a little square of paper. This one's 3 inches by 3 inches with a bit of adhesive on the back. This one weighs less than half a gram. At first, it came in just one color, canary yellow. And it was invented by accident. It almost didn't make it to market. But since then, Post-its have been used for some pretty incredible, life-changing things. They've been used to propose marriages, tell spouses about pregnancies, launch scores of companies, and countless new products. Even in this high-tech era, the simple Post-it is arguably the single most important tool of innovation. Tim Brown, CEO of IDEO, the company that brought you everything from the computer mouse to the automatic defibrillator and the stand-up toothpaste tube, calls the Post-it the perfect tool for innovation. Likewise, Fast Company magazine hails the Post-it as the tool for innovation ahead of scores of many much more advanced technologies like big data and artificial intelligence. So why is the Post-it such a great tool for innovation? Well, because it enables us to easily and efficiently pass along ideas. And that's it in a nutshell. It's an IDD, or Idea Delivery Device. And as many of you know, in the DoD, we love our acronyms. But back to the point, it's those ideas that have the real power. By facilitating the exchange of, the creation of ideas, Post-its help us bring the power of an idea to life. We could be talking about creating great art, like the most monumental musical achievement of the past century, which, as many of you know, is Metallica's One. Or maybe a new design of a rocket that could take humankind to Mars. Even every great achievement, in fact, everything humankind has ever created, has at its core an idea and someone that chose to chase that idea. If anything, today's era of viral communications, wildly rapid innovation, and explosive knowledge growth only increase the inherent power of each and every idea, good and bad. Not long ago, it could take years, even decades, for an idea to reach critical mass. During the 1950s, the average circulation of the New York Times was just over 500,000. So remember the obscure virus club? It took those scientists years to promote their ideas because no journal, which is all there was at that time, hard copy paper journals, would accept their ideas for publication. The race against HIV was almost lost because these scientists had no way to disseminate their research. In 2019, this seems a bit hard to believe. Things are very different today. Earlier this year, a 17-year-old's video of her cat logged nearly 7 million views in less than 24 hours. Today's technology allows for a vast increase in the reach and potency of ideas. When today's innovators speak of power of an idea or technology, the watchword is disruption. I define disruption in this case as the capacity of a new idea or innovation to fundamentally alter the landscape in which we live. The Economist, a publication not known for hyperbole, calls the theory of disruptive technology the most influential idea of the early 21st century. Today we see disruptive technologies all around us. Did anyone take a taxi to the conference? More likely, you took an Uber. Uber has fundamentally altered the realm of ground transportation. Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, social media has forever changed how we communicate with friends and family. Not only that, social media has changed the very nature of information and communication. Self-driving cars can potentially change ground transportation. Want to take a long trip? Maybe not today, but someday you'll be able to hop in your car, eat a snack, read on an ebook, take a nap, and wake up in California or wherever you're going. All around the world, manufacturers and designers, architects and planners are already working on a driverless world. No more parking garages, only drop-off zones, cars that are more like living rooms than vehicles. Sector by sector, the status quo isn't evolving, it's being smashed by disruptive technologies. Why am I focused on this here and now? Because we are not immune. It is only a matter of time before we face a disruptive battle, a disruptive technology. The disruptive power of ideas is, generally speaking, a good thing, but is also a double-edged sword, especially in our business. One of the biggest challenges our warfighters will face on future battlefields is surprise. Those disruptive technologies we either did not anticipate or could not keep technology parity with our potential adversaries. Not long ago, only nation states had the capacity to deploy a chemical or biological weapon system. No more. The items necessary to assemble a simple chemical or biological weapon system have become increasingly available in the form of off-the-shelf technologies and materials that can be purchased online and delivered nearly anywhere in the world within 2 days. Genetic engineering used to require highly advanced expertise, large amounts of expensive equipment, and a lot of time. CRISPR now enables a person with a modest science background, a little time, and a bit of funding to undertake fairly advanced genetic engineering. The capability to intentionally develop a genetically engineered superweapon is no longer just in the hands of nation states. Almost any group with bad intent and a modest scientific intellect can seek to create a devastating superbug. The potential for accident further complicates the issue. So talk about a disruptive technology. Imagine one event that could infect hundreds or thousands or many more in a single outbreak. How do we deal with these threats? How do we counter the risk inherent in the democratization of game-changing, potentially world-altering, truly disruptive technologies. So those of you who were with us at the last chem-bio Science and Technology Conference may recall I talked about out-sciencing our enemies, about using the power of science to safeguard our warfighters and national security through technological superiority by taking revolutionary big steps in science, not evolutionary small steps. What we at CB are now looking to achieve has necessarily evolved with the times. Today, what we require is ideas that we can out-science the enemy with disruptive power. We want to disrupt the threat before we face it. We want to change the game in how we fight. We aren't just looking for a discrete technological fix to counter a singular threat. We are looking for ideas that enable us to fundamentally disrupt the landscape of chemical and biological threats. Ideas that don't just take a weapon away from our enemies, but ideas that fully and fundamentally disrupt them from ever wanting to even try to harm us. Let's put the bad guys out of business. That's the definition of disruption. Allow me to offer a few of my own disruptive post-it ideas. We're working on these technologies now to influence the course of future battles. First is wearable technologies. At the last conference, I introduced the idea that it might be possible to predict if a warfighter was about to get sick before he or she ever had symptoms. I call this getting left of cough. Working with our industry and academic partners, we can now monitor a person's physiometric data, heart rate, EKG, temperature, and so on, to predict the onset of an illness 24 to 48 hours in advance of symptoms. Pretty incredible. For the first time ever, we have the potential to get inside the therapeutic window and beat many of the biothreat pathogens that we're concerned about. Another technology we're evaluating is human organ on a chip. We can now take human dermal stem cells, undifferentiate them, guide them into becoming other types of cells, heart, lung, liver, kidney, and so on. Placing these microorgans on a microfluidic chip, circulating a surrogate blood system, and analyzing the data with a mass spectrometer gives us unique insight into multi-organ and drug interactions. This may ultimately allow us to completely eliminate the use of animal testing and dramatically bring down the cost by eliminating drug candidates before they ever make it to a phase 1 clinical trial. Another exciting technology we're evaluating is DNA-based vaccines. Working with the National Institute of Health, we're evaluating a vaccine candidate to treat Venezuelan equine encephalitis that has already completed a phase 1 clinical trial. A's, T's, C's, and G's are relatively shelf-stable. We could literally test a DNA vaccine in the States, send the data over satellite, and recreate a vaccine on demand in an ambulance at the outer edges of a battlefield. Obviously, we're working with the FDA, since this kind of talk makes them very nervous. But this is just a start. This is where you come in. We need you to help us broaden the idea pool. We will take an incremental progress, to be sure, a better protective mask, a better detector. For example, last month, we received a grant to fund the first ever in-human clinical trials for a vaccine for melioidosis, a tropical infectious disease that's a CDC Category B biothreat pathogen. This means that pathogen is moderately easy to spread, has moderate morbidity rates, and is difficult to treat. But to the warfighter in the field, even being sick makes them operationally ineffective. If they are sick, they are out of the fight. So yes, we will gladly take solid incremental progress like that, but we really want to stretch the boundaries and attain that truly disruptive something. Think, imagine unfettered. Dare to go outside the collective wisdom because it's often wrong. Einstein once said, anyone who has never made a mistake has never done anything new. and the outcomes can be extraordinary. This isn't just hot air. This isn't like a professor offering class participation points that never materialize. This is real. Let me prove it with my own obscure virus club-like example. 8 years ago, at the chem-bio S&T Conference, a group of researchers held a series of conversations around using monoclonal antibodies to counter the Ebola virus. At the time, the field was opposed to immunotherapeutics to Ebola and filovirus. As a result, it seemed like no one would fund the research. However, DITRA's medical technology division thought it was worth a shot. We funded the research, which was undertaken by the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Disease and the Public Health Agency of Canada. Sure, the funding helped, but the dialogue alone created space or buy-in to enable the research to be done. And it turned out things were different than they seemed. Not long afterwards, monoclonal antibody therapeutics proved vital in responding to a variety of conditions, including cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, and many other conditions. DITRA's investment led to the first experimental Ebola treatment, ZMapp, which is adopted by the World Health Organization to be actively used to counter the extremely dangerous Ebola virus during the West African outbreak in 2014 to 2016. Results from this use case galvanized the utility of monoclonal antibodies, and we are now looking at Ebola, Marburg, and plague as possible future candidates for this technology. So there it is, the power of an idea, from a conversation at a conference to protecting warfighters in our nation. An idea has the power to literally change the world for good, to safeguard our warfighters, our nation, and our allies, to alter the course of history. To that end, what will be the next disruptive technology in chem-bio defense? Will it be the application of big data? Will it be the use of synthetic biology to create universal therapies and vaccines on demand without delay? What will it be? I challenge you to make these conversations happen. Exchange your ideas, share your ideas. Whether it's on a Post-it note or on the back of a napkin, I want you to talk about your ideas with your peers and colleagues at this conference. Form teams and respond to topics in our broad agency announcements or requests for proposals in the JPEO other transactional authority consortiums. We've modified our business process this year to bring more agility and flexibility to the process. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. 3 months from now, look for us to begin dropping topics that we will be funding potentially as soon as October or November next year. But there's no reason to wait. I'm here, my team is here, you're here, the ideas are here. Engage with the DITRA team today, here and now. Find us at one of the sessions. Find us tonight over coffee or a beer. Start the conversation now. Bring us something truly disruptive. Ideas we've never seen before. Ideas on the edge of imagination. What is the next big, truly disruptive idea? Friends, colleagues, disruption starts here.